As you know, we took off yesterday, but the show was amazing. Got a lot of compliments from yesterday's show. I was like, we weren't even live. Maybe we could do this more frequently, Smith. Yes. Okay. How many of you were at the No Kings rally this weekend on the 18th? How many of you were out in those streets? I'm just curious. I would love to hear from you early. Want to know what you got from it. It seemed like a rally. I didn't call it a march I guess it was a protest. How would you classify the No Kings? It was millions of people. This regime tried to paint it as, not as big as it was. It was big. It was big, and it was global. I saw people in like South Korea and Great Britain, people out in the streets in other countries, in England, in solidarity for what is happening here in this country. I'm going to play some clips from the No Kings rally in D.C. One woman was asked the question about being a patriot. Here was her response.
A first-generation American. I am a veteran. I was in the military. I check all the boxes. I'm a mom. I've got 4 kids, but I follow Jesus, but I am a patriot. I am a patriot, and I will not let anyone tell me that I am not here because I love my country. Yeah. And so that is, I think of everything, I am passionate about that, because the people that are here today, they are concerned about this country.
Okay. All right. She's a patriot. Are you a patriot? What does that mean? What does that mean? I love that she served this country. She's a mom of 4. She's out there in them streets, and she believes in this democracy, which is what the No Kings rally is really about. I'm going to play a clip from a guy in Alabama. Play it.
A quarter of children in Alabama live with food insecurity. 15% of Alabama citizens use SNAP and WIC. That's almost 900,000 people. Alabama has a higher poverty rate than the national average. A third of Alabama counties are maternity care deserts. A third of Alabama counties don't have a pediatrician. Over 1 million people in Alabama rely on Medicaid. At least 300,000 people, maybe more, could gain access to health care if the state expanded Medicaid. That would also create and save jobs and ward off the closures of rural hospitals and healthcare services. But our state leaders continue to refuse to, and our national representatives vote to cut health care. 130,000 Alabamians could lose their health care coverage. You can't call yourself pro-life and refuse to expand Medicaid. You can't call yourself pro-life and cut health care. You can't call yourself pro-life and be against feeding children. You call yourself pro-life because you support forcing every baby to be born, yet you are against helping people who are alive. You can't say you're for small government and want the government in all of the uteruses. You can't say you're for small government and support the federal government taking over cities. You can't say you support states' rights and support other states invading states. You can't say you support free speech but want the government to punish people you disagree with for expressing theirs. You can't say you love freedom if you support taking other people's freedoms away. Good people do not look at what is going on and cheer it on. Good people do not cheer on the oppression of others. Good people do not stay silent as others are being oppressed. Good people know the difference between patriotism and nationalism. Good people don't see people who live differently, love differently, or think differently as the enemy. Good people do not demand obedience and call it freedom.
No lies detected. The energy was infectious. I was watching, social media and all of the streets being lined, Chicago, Illinois. It was just amazing to see folk out. The weather was cooperating in most places. It was just beautiful display of humanity. So I have a couple of questions. What's the ask? What's the agenda? I'm old enough to remember Occupy Wall Street, which was another very powerful movement. Streets shut down, traffic, people disrupted. There were human microphones and folks in tents rallying against this oligarchic, capitalistic system. It was beautiful, mostly young people. And I would ask my students at Hunter College, because several of them were out protesting, what's the goal? What are we out here doing? I love the energy. What's the goal? Because we had an election in November that could have prevented all of this. I remember it. It was November. All of this didn't have to happen. And I'm happy y'all are in the streets. But I don't think you even quite understand what's going on. Don Lemon was out in New York. Times Square was flooded with human beings. He asked the question of one of the protesters. Actually, this Don Lemon. Well, actually, just listen.
One thing I'll also note, and something that Jolly would like to note, is it's mostly white people too, and that's one thing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's tough. I think white people in general have the most resources to come out and do something like this. It's expensive getting to Times Square, no matter how you put it from a time and currency standpoint. So, I think it's important to see diversity out here, but I also think it's important that white people are fighting back, and they're using their 2 days off on the weekend, one of those days, to come out here and voice their support for this protest. So yeah.
Okay. His response to why it's mostly white people out there is that the resources, basically, black people don't have money to come out. Ask Target if black people don't have money. Ask the major corporations that depend on the $2 trillion that we spend annually whether black people have money. So clearly you don't understand. See, because 92% of black women and nearly 80% of black men showed up in November. That was our time to protest what could happen and prevent it for all of you. All of you. We showed up in November. And so without any memo, we are making a decision, I think. And I'm not saying there are no black people, because I've seen black people out there, but the flavor is a lot different. Y'all got bouncy houses. Your line dances look different. There's no seasoning in the air. There's nothing. There's unwashed legs everywhere. It's a different kind of thing. And I'm not criticizing it. I'm happy y'all are in the streets. But please understand why we may not be out in mass, and you kind of need us, because I don't think y'all are very good at protesting. I'm watching. You're not very. The protest is lacking something. I can't put my finger on it, and maybe I'm wrong. Y'all can dispute it. Call me. But the reason why we're not out there has nothing to do with finances, sir. And clearly, you don't know who we are, which is something that I've always posited on these airwaves. Y'all don't know us. The fact that we're not out there has nothing to do with money. Why don't you know that? Why is that your narrative, young man? And I'm glad you're out there. Good for you. Good on you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And some of us are out there because we also recognize that this is one of those times. But we also recognize that this is one of those times, and we will not be cannon fodder, and we will not be on the front lines of something that they really would love to see happen. And once we go out in them streets, you already know what's going to go down. Y'all know. You know. And there are many, many ways to protest, which we do every day on Urban View, Channel 126, where talk empowers and becomes action. One great way is to withhold your dollars. That's a beautiful way to protest and send a message, and at the same time be very intentional. Christmas should not be Christmas for these corporations. They depend on everything for November and December. They build their whole budget around us coming out November, December, spending money. What if we don't? What if we do not? What if we do not? They also depend on us sitting home in our primaries and our midterms. What if we show up in numbers unmatched? What if we show up for ourselves? We don't have to be in them streets to send a message. And we're going to be talking more about that. Matter of fact, we will be in them streets, but just differently. I have some plans that we're working on as we speak. And shout out to Clay and Reese, who are out in them streets. And Clay Kane had a wonderful town hall yesterday with Karine Jean-Pierre, who tells me very strongly that not only are them folk out there protesting a little bit out of touch, but so are the people out there selling books. Out of touch and out of time. That's a very good song. Let's go to the phones. Before we do, though, let me play this one more clip from a gentleman who has captured where we are. I'm going to talk a lot about politics today. We're going to have a discussion about, because Karine Jean-Pierre claims that she's an independent. So am I. So are all of you. Most of you are independent. If you're listening to this program, you're independent. You're an independent thinker. You think for yourselves. You are well read. You know stuff. You're independent. But politically, ma'am, and you should know, you know better, you have rendered yourself powerless in a closed primary state. Michael Schmerkanish, who's my colleague on SiriusXM, sued Pennsylvania because he's an independent who cannot vote in a primary in his state. And he is suing for the right to vote because why would he not be able to vote? Because he's a registered independent. Oh, because of the way the system is set up. And if you don't know civics, and I know Karine Jean-Pierre knows civics, I know she does. So what game are you playing? Out there telling people to do what exactly? Undermine their own power? No, we understand power. We're smart. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. Smith, play that last clip before we start taking calls.
Currently, the United States hold about 343 million of us. That's 343 million souls. Of that immense population, only 83 million are even registered with a political party. That's roughly 45 million Democrats and 38 million Republicans. And everyone else is unaffiliated. Now, barely half of Republicans, around 19 million people, call themselves MAGA. That's a mere 6% of our nation. Think about that. Even stretching the numbers, the most generous surveys give them maybe 15%. So in essence, a sliver of America has commandeered the megaphone of MAGA. When a small fraction is fervent, disciplined, and unified, and the rest remain apathetic, the minority begins to govern the majority. They saturate local elections, dominate primaries, and dictate national tone, not through numbers, but through unyielding participation. Now, I'm not going to get into the semantics of last election, whether he won, she won. I think we all know the truth. But there's a great deal of us didn't participate. And that right there is the civic enigma of our era. A democracy of millions subtly steered by zealous few, while the silent multitude watches the pendulum swing back and forth. Not from destiny, but from disengagement. Truth has no party, y'all be well.
Ha! Did you sit home in November? Because you were so frustrated because the bird has got two wings, it's the same bird, and Democrats have done nothing, Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Is that you? I'd love to talk to you today. I promise not to shame you. Let me breathe a little bit. I promise not to willfully shame you because sometimes I can't help it. it just comes out. I promise.
But how's that working out for you?
It doesn't work out normally, Smiz, but I'm going to try to, because we have to leave space. We got a year. Somebody was like, why are we talking? We're talking about this now because we can talk about this now. There's nothing on the line. We don't have, we got a governor's race in Jersey and another one in Virginia. We got some local races that are going to be super important. New York City has a mayoral race. There's some races that are important. We got to show up. But we have time, more than a year, to get us together for those midterms. As they gerrymander and jerry-rig, this is the time you start to forge strategy. You start to build candidates. You start to build talking points. This is that time where you air out all of the things about the birds and the wings and all of the things you're disgruntled about and get on message. Because they're on message. They're voting their whiteness. They done told you to your face, we don't like you. We're going to vote our whiteness. We don't care what the policies are. We don't care if Mima will never have teeth again. If she dies because there's no health care for her, we don't care. We're going to die on that hill. But it's a small minority of them. The majority are the people who don't vote. That's the biggest voting bloc, the non-voter. So we're going to have to figure out how to reach you so that you can at least participate in your own future. This is what we need. Your rights and resources are on the line. What can we do to convince you to show up? And this is not a purity test. This is not a popularity contest. This ain't a beauty contest. We're not voting for people because we like them. We're voting for our own resources and rights. That's it. That's it. It's a simple game. It's a simple game, unfortunately. And it's a 10 steps to get to power. It's step number 8. It's not number 1, 2, 3. It's not even the most important, but it is the most important. Two things can be true. All right, let's have a conversation. I'm gonna take a call. We're gonna go to break. I'm gonna get off YouTube. Hello to you, YouTube. Yeah, it's long overdue, but come to the goodness that is SiriusXM. Urban View Channel 126. We're talking powers and becomes action. This is where we get busy. This is where we roll up our sleeves. Actually, Nubia is where we really roll up our sleeves. I'm gonna say less about that. But let me go to John in New York. Thank you for holding. You were at the No Kings rally.
I was at the No Kings rally. My band played. It was exciting.
Okay, wait. Set the scene, yes, brother. Tell the story. So you're from, let me guess, you're from Brooklyn or Queens? Where you from?
I actually was brought up in Mount Vernon, New York, but I moved with Mount Vernon, New York, and I moved my family to Fishkill, New York, which is a predominantly white area, and my band plays up here every now and then.
Now, what kind of band are we talking? What are you playing? Bluegrass?
I have a jazz band, and they heard me at this park over up here in Terrytown, which is another predominantly, but they liked me, and so the people that were heading the No Kings rally in Brewster, New York, said I would love your band to come and play. So I got a band together. I actually added some bluegrass cats in the band, kind of mix it up a little bit.
I love it.
So I wouldn't look like I was, so I went there. But
wait, John. Yeah. Is this the first type of event? Like, have you protested before?
I protested when a while ago when we were having a problem with the water. My band actually went out to I forgot the place, but they were having problems with water, and we took crates of water to their city. Oh man, I can't remember the name. I'm a little nervous in my conversation.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. That's all right. I got you. Flint, Michigan.
Yes, right. Okay. Yeah. So we got some water together out of Harlem, and then drove a couple of vans to Michigan. Yes.
Okay.
But so I'm very in tune. Matter of fact, when I called you, Joe Madison's name came up on my phone because I usually get to talk to him when he was living. But so anyway, so I got the band together. We had a rehearsal. I had 2 black guys in the band and 4 white dudes. So we were scheduled to be there at a certain time. I tried to make sure that we had, accurate parking. But what was interesting, when I went to park, I told a cop, I said, my name is John Smith, and they have parking for me. And the cop said to me, we ain't going to do that shit today. I said, all right. So I had to take a deep breath.
What did that mean?
That meant that, you just going to park where everybody else park kind of thing. Oh. I didn't get the VIP treatment. So I just took a deep breath, and I said, well, you need to, reach out to so-and-so. So the sergeant came over, and he put me in an accurate parking spot or whatever. So we enter in, and then I text the rest of the band and said to ask for certain people when they get up here because the cops seemed a little hostile. That particular officer, I'm not blaming all officers, but anyway, so that's what we dealt with. We got set up, and we were playing before as the people were coming in. What was interesting is they let me get on the microphone, and all I could think about was Karen Hunter and the 90 million folks that didn't vote. And I said in that mic, I said, listen, and it was like a few thousand white folks out there. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 black people out there.
Were you in the middle of Times Square near the TKTS?
No, I was in Brewster, New York. Brewster, New York.
So you upstate, upstate.
Okay. Yeah, I was upstate, yeah.
Okay.
Predominantly white area. But anyway, so I got on the microphone and I said, you know what, there's 90 million folks that didn't vote, and I think we need to really address them and try to get them and thinking about you, of course. But what was most interesting is I played at the No Kings rally during the day, and I had to go to Brooklyn to play at another place, and A.G. James was there, which was like capped off my day. It was
Letitia James was in Brewster, New York?
Yes, because my band had to play again at a spot in Brooklyn.
I love it.
I'm at one of the musicians and she was amazing.
So she was in Brooklyn.
She was in Brooklyn.
Okay, all right. Just want to be clear.
Yeah, she was in Brooklyn. Yeah, because when I left the No Kings rally, I went to a wedding ceremony for one of her friends, and that my band was playing for.
That's beautiful.
And and that was awesome. But at the end of the night, I called one of the guys in the band, one of the white guys, and and I asked him, yo, who did you vote for? He was like, I don't vote for nobody, man. I'm just, like all of them are messed up. And I said, wait a minute, man. First of all, we're friends, right? And if white folks don't step up and do what they're supposed to do, it's going to make it hard for us. So think about it this way, my brother. Republicans don't even allow black people to get to the door. At least Democrats allow us to get to the door, and we know what to do once we get to the door. We could kick it in. You know what I mean? He said, well, that's kind of an interesting thought. I said, yeah, man, because, listen, I got a son, and I don't want my son to live in what's going on right now, and I know you don't want to see my son live in something that's going on right now. So at least vote for someone to get us to the door. That's all I'm asking you.
That is, I love it.
He kind of felt that.
This is the way forward. We have relationships with people. We don't engage. We don't talk politics. We have to talk politics because we're not talking politics. We're talking our rights and resources. It's real simple. We're not asking you to give up your last name or your family lineage. We're asking you to participate in your own rights and resources and the rest of ours as well. And we all have common humanity. And if you like the people that are around you, damn it, show up for them. Show up for them like John did. John, I thank you. Before I let you go, what's the name of your band? Can people book you?
My name is John Smith.
I know that. I got that.
Okay. It's John Smith. John Smith Trio. If you, www.itsjohnsmith.com.
Okay.
And that's how you can reach me. It's
all right.
John Smith.
So if
God
y'all
bless
like
you, my sister.
God bless you, too. If y'all like your bluegrass with a sprinkling of soul and jazz, you better go ahead and check out John Smith. Apparently, he travels, too. It's johnsmith.com. I'm going to look at you when I get off of the radio here. Wow. Okay. We're going to take calls when we come back. All the lines are lit. Diane, please hold on. She's got a friend that is not voting. I asked for it. We're going to talk to the people today. I'm going to try to put on my nicest pretend voice that I'm not bothered by that. I'm gonna work on it. Y'all pray for me. Okay. 866